So this is before. This is the rear wheel. And then this is after. You can see it's definitely got a lot more shine. I was worried that I wouldn't get much. You can definitely see it's got a lot more shine. And bam, like that, she's good. What's going down? Today is wrap day. I give you details on how to wrap your bike, whether it's a GROM or not. These tips and details will help you along the way of wrapping pretty much anything. And I reveal the color of the bike. These tips and tricks are for all you guys that have never wrapped and for you guys that have wrapped some stuff before. I get questions a bunch on how do I wrap, how should I get into wrapping, just a bunch of like different things on how easy, how hard it is. It's more of a monotonous thing than anything, but I figured I'd finally include some wrapping in a video so I could help you guys out and to refer people back to this video. So if that's one of you, thanks for watching. Other than that, welcome back to MOTO-VATION. So all the plastics get really dirty, and the easiest way is to just clean them. So a little bit of soap and water, sometimes a little bit of alcohol. Hopefully it's, yep, I got it on there, huh? Making sure all the sticky mess is off of this. All the vinyl is off. And no, I'm not leaving it like this. Plastics are getting re-wrapped. We're gonna do a new color. So a little tip when you're wrapping, it's all about the prep work. So one thing you really want to do is degrease. After you degrease, then you want to use soap and water, which is what this is. This doesn't have really much of any grease on it at all, but I am prepared for some of the soiled pieces that we have. Then once you have everything nice and clean, you wipe everything with alcohol, isopropyl, how do you say it? I'm not sure. But as you can see, the design is still underneath a couple of the fairings, and that's awesome. I'm gonna actually leave it. It's really funny because a lot of people will actually talk trash and say you can wrap really good and your bike looks like trash, look at all those bubbles, because they see a picture from a distance, and then when they get close to it or you see a close picture of it, they're like, oh, my bad. never mind. And then the people that do see it are like, wow, that's crazy, that looks really cool. That is the prep work I do. And then also on plastics or paint or whatever, you may want to clay bar the products, just because they can get contaminated on it and you don't want like the bumps or anything like that. Stuff that you're wrapping. This stuff's always been wrapped. Never gonna really run into that issue. Better off to have a clean bike than a dirty bike, in my opinion. There's some people out there that won't agree. They think that the bike should actually be dirty, and that's fine. I strongly disagree. I think you take pride in what you're gonna build, and you should keep it clean. Sure, it's gonna get dirty, it's gonna get beat up, that's fine. But after you're done beating it up, after it gets dirty, clean it up. The other reason you want to clean the back is obviously the vinyl does go over to the backside, but you're gonna be grabbing this stuff. So if this is dirty and then I grab vinyl, my hands are getting on that nice clean vinyl or on the nice clean plastic. I would say this is probably the first time I can't fully envision a wrap. Makes me not necessarily nervous because I don't really care. If I get this all done and it looks like butt, then I'll just rewrap it later. It's not that big a deal to me. The stuff needed to come off anyways, most of it, because a lot of it was scratched because I beat my bike up. I have a stunt bike. Sure, it is a pretty stunt bike and it has a lot of nice and expensive parts on it, but that doesn't mean much of anything. I would say out of all the pieces to wrap, this is probably one of the hardest things to wrap, is this. Just because of this piece right here. This is also another piece that's kind of a pain to wrap, just because this textured plastic, this textured ABS, nothing wants to stick to it. So it's that one thing that tends to lift after a while. But I'm gonna get to wrapping this stuff tomorrow. It is midnight, but I want to get everything cleaned. So quick story on why I use bandana print. Sorry about the snorting noise making. Mr. Alphalee's right next to me and that's what he does. So quick little thing about this is the bandana print initially started with, I used to hang a bandana out in my back pocket for a buddy that passed away because he used to always rock them. His name was Leo Brodsky. He passed away many years ago. So he always rocked a bandana, and on my first stunt bike, I did a wrap. I just took like a bandana print and made it motorcycle related and had it printed and put it on the R6. Then over time, I modified it more and more and more. It wasn't this exact print, but I modified it more and more until this was the final product. And I always did it subtly. I did it underneath the plastics, underneath the vinyl. On the R6, when I wrapped it again, I put it on top. I wrapped the GROM white initially, the first GROM, my 1415. When I redid it in teal, I did this underneath the plastics. And it was for myself and a little reminder that Leo's just always there, like while I'm riding. I don't think anybody knows that. That's just something that is for me. I just, I miss the guy. He was like one of my best friends and we used to ride together. I thought it was gonna have to go this time around because my plotter's down and I'm not sure if I could get it back up, and I don't know where this file is. I sure I could find it, but that is why this is on the bike and why it's subtle, because it's not really necessarily for other people. It's mostly for me. And it's a really cool design, in my opinion. So, just a bandana print that has chains and sprockets. It's motorcycle related. That's the story. What is going on? So, we have some parts that we're gonna wrap. I already got a bunch of stuff done. I've just been really focused on getting that stuff done so I could record, you know, miscellaneous stuff later. Couple tips, tricks, so on and so forth. First thing you want to focus on when you're wrapping stuff is you want to make sure the stuff is prepped properly. It has to be cleaned very well. First thing you want to do is you want to have some soap and water mix. You want to have degreaser and you want to have some alcohol. So first thing you always want to do is you want to take degreaser like simple green, purple power, something of the sort that's not super rough on the surface that you're going to be working on, that it's not going to take any paint off or anything like that, but it's going to take all the grease off. Then once you do that, you move on to the next step, which would be a spray bottle with 1 drop, maybe 2 of Dawn or some sort of detergent. I just use Dawn. It works the best. They use it to clean seals and seagulls and stuff like that, so it's really good degreaser, and 1 drop goes a long way. So I have a bottle like this. I also have a pump style bottle. It just depends on the situation. I've already cleaned and degreased everything, so I don't need to use this. But we'll move on to the step that I'm at, which is alcohol. So everything you should have a separate color of towel for everything that you're gonna use, so you never mix them up. So this is only for alcohol. It's nothing else. So isopropyl alcohol, either, what is it, like 80%, 70%, all the way up to pretty much 100%. What I do is, depending on the part I'm working on, so on this is one way, is just, you know, get a towel damp and wipe it down. Also make sure your hands are clean, make sure this area you're working at is clean. It is, obviously. Make sure your rag is decently clean. There's some stuff on here, like there's this, but it's stuck to it. But you want to make sure this is wiped down very well with rubbing alcohol. You want to make sure that every part that you touch, every part, inside, outside, is clean. So in situations like this, since you can't get this in here very easily, I just take and spray it down, and then I just rub it wherever it can be. And anywhere that you don't, you know, wipe or whatever, it's still a little shiny, it will dry. It's alcohol and dries out really easily. I've already wrapped a few of these. I don't know how many exactly. I know that there's some trouble areas that are prone to have vinyl not stick very well, just either with stretching or certain circumstances. So we'll take this towel that I've been using for what I'm about to show you, and there's a lot of different adhesion promoters. I use Pro Bond. It seems to work the best in my opinion. It dries really fast. It also smells really bad. So I put a little bit on here. Actually, I put quite a bit on. And then in areas like here, corners of all this, I get this on because these are areas that it doesn't like to stick very well. Sometimes I get a little overboard, but for the most part, that's where I use it on the front. Then along the edge, along the top, in this crack here, this crevice, and it's already starting to dry. It dries in about 30 seconds. Then on the back side here, on this area, trying not to put my fingerprints on everything. Then along the corners and back side of where the light is, I put some. I don't get too in depth on it just because it's not crazy important. On this area though, So this piece is super intricate. I don't actually wrap this whole piece. I wrap the front area here all the way down and along this. I just go around this, basically, this main surface area. Then on here, I go around, same type of thing, and then I go up and over on all this area here. The reason why is because the only area you really see is about here, across this, and here. You don't really see the sides of this. When this is on here, this covers pretty much everything. So you don't see any of that stuff. So I prefer not to do it. There's no real reason. This gray is a good contrasting color to pretty much anything. And then I don't wrap the bottom because you don't ever see it as well. This I'm doing this is a titanium brushed aluminum. This is just brushed aluminum. So we're gonna wrap this on this, even the piece that I'm gonna use. And you also wanna make sure your whole area is clean, not too much dust, so you're not kicking up dust. And then we'll take and remember where this all is gonna go. And I just lay it on there. And I pull up the sides a little bit here and there. Flip her over and get started. But another thing that I use, a wrap glove. This is literally made by the company Wrap Glove. Also, you need a halfway decent heat gun. I got this one with a fancy digital display. You don't need that. I used a different style for many, many years. The cool thing about this stuff is that it's actual vinyl. It's not actual metal. So some of the chromes and brushed aluminums and whatnot are actual foil. This is not. This piece is actually a huge pain in the ass to wrap. Alright, so I'm gonna get back to this. Yeah. Hope you learned a couple things. I'll show you how I trim all this up. Alright, so I'm just working on trimming up everything. As you can see, the color difference isn't really a whole lot. I mean, you can at certain angles, but from a distance, you don't even see it. So, get my handy dandy glove back on. Just going to wrap all this stuff around the edge. And then what I do is in corners, I split the vinyl so that way I can bring it around here all the way. And get it to tuck back in. Alright, and that is the outside. I'm going to go around and trim up all the excess stuff on the back side. I'm going to put some edge sealer on this. I don't do that on every part I wrap, but I do it on stuff like this because all these little areas tend to start lifting up. So I'm going to trim it all out, put a little edge sealer on everything, and it should stay. So that is a little wrapping 101 for you guys. All right, so I hope those tips really helped. Well, it's been a long journey to get to right here, but the next episode is the money shot. I show you a breakdown of everything that I've done to the bike. You get to see every little bit and piece of it. We start it up, we take it for a ride, and you don't want to miss this episode. Other than that, I'll see you guys on the next episode. Peace.